Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, increase profits, to ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and I am here with my husband, yet again, Ryan Sanders, because my name is actually legally Andrea Sanders, but for podcasting,
I own you.
Yeah. So I brought Ryan on the podcast about a month and a half ago and got a lot of really good feedback on it. I listened to the podcast again. I listened to it back and I was like, what are people like? I don't understand why people are thinking it's so funny or where. But we're just going to go with it. A lot of people thought it was really entertaining. And so I thought you would be fun to come back and talk about sales. So instead of last time, it was more you interviewing me. So I'm going to change and I'm going to interview you and pretty much talk about the sales pitch that we just made earlier this afternoon. I'm wanting to pitch to general contracting companies, and he helped me format that and gave me some tips. And I was like, oh, this is a really good podcast episode. Anyway, but before we get into that, we just got back from a mural meetup in Costa Rica 2 days ago. We flew back. What did you think of the mural meetup?
That was a great time, except for all the roads, the windy roads. That was brutal, but the meetup itself was great. We had a great time. Always fun to meet new people.
Yeah, we had a really good group, and I promise I'm not like pinching his back to be like, just tell him you had a good time, like smile to the face. Yeah, no, it was a really good group. We had it was one of the most positive groups. There was no issues. Like every once in a while, getting so many people together, you never know what's gonna happen, and if like personalities will collide, or if some artists just get weird painting a mural around each other.
Artists are weird.
Yeah. We had artists of all ages too. Some younger than me, some much older. We had Ryan and Susan did shots together.
Oh yeah.
Susan's, I'd say 60 something. And she was just hanging out. She was pulling her own and yeah.
Yeah, we've definitely gotten a lot better at these mural meetups over the years. The very first one we did was at our house and it had 26, 27 people all staying at our house. And it was a lot of fun, but man, that one was a lot. So we've gotten a little better at this over the years as far as kind of dividing up, not trying to overwhelm ourselves. And now we're doing international destinations.
Yeah, it's fun. It was in Costa Rica and we flew into Liberia and we had an hour and a half drive, like minimum, along windy roads with potholes and bumps. And it was crazy. But then,
landslides were blocking portions of the roads.
Yeah. I've said this before. I'll say it every time. Like if something's going to go wrong, it's going to if anything can go wrong, it's probably going to. And in this, it rained it rained.
Biblical rains is what we described it as.
Yeah, but we were in a rainforest, so of course, doing an outside mural was kind of tough. But I went out on Monday, and then Ryan came out with Skylar, our toddler, on Thursday. So I had a full 4 days, 3.5 days of out there with everybody, and then we had kind of a mini family vacation, sort of a thing with our family and the artists and all of that. And we went to go see the sights after we were done painting. So.
Yeah. We drove 2 hours on windy roads and potholes with a 2-year-old toddler and he didn't puke. So that was a win. That's the biggest victory of this entire trip.
Yeah. It's combining the things I love, which is painting and travel and toddler family time. Combining all of those is a huge win for me, but it can be kind of weird. Everyone, so while I was planning a bunch of mural meetups this year, I had the talk with Ryan. I was like, I think in a perfect world, in my perfect world, I would have some time to teach and really be there with the students who come out and the other artists and get to know them. And then have him come out with Skylar. And so I can have my cake and eat it too. And in theory, I was like, let's do this. And he's so down. So I really love that you're
I can pass on my knowledge as well, because that is truly what the students crave is the knowledge that I possess. No, I have no painting knowledge. I have zero artistic ability, but just general life knowledge, I believe, is probably what I'm best at.
I think that's what the reviews will say.
Yeah, definitely.
Ryan's life knowledge.
Life, exactly. You're welcome. You're welcome, life.
But your knowledge actually is in not just, yelling at us that, if we lean on a ladder that we'll die, or that if we operate a lift without a harness that we will die.
Ooh, by the way, I found the shirt. So our first mural meetup, again, part of my big speech was safety, because again, artists just are not big on safety. In fact, we just had a question that came up today in her group of, do I need a safety harness if I'm on a scissor lift? And Andrea apparently almost messaged, no, you're fine. And I, of course, had to remind her that per OSHA, yes, you do. You always have a harness when you're at heights. But that's just, anyway, as part of my speech, I always try and drill it into people that if you don't do this, you're going to die. And it just sticks to the back of people's heads. So they gave me a shirt that said, and then you die. It's kind of become my...
And then you die.
Yeah, and then you die is my little saying that goes along with my safety speech. Just so I had lost that shirt for about a year or two, and we were doing some spring cleaning in the winter, found the shirt again. So I have my "and then you die" shirt again. I should probably be wearing it today, but it's a little cold.
Oh, you should have. Maybe the next one that we do it, if we do it.
So far, we've yet to have anyone die, so we're doing good. It's the point has been driven home to people. Just don't reach out on a ladder. Wear your safety harness. Just
scaffolding, use it properly. Oh yeah, have the
safety pins and the scaffolding.
You'd be proud. We were at the Florida mural meetup. Did I tell you this? And they delivered the scaffolding. They had it all set up, and some artists pointed out, they were like, we need more pins in there because they only dropped off so many pins. And so I messaged the guy like, hey, can you bring more pins? They argued with me slightly. They're like, no, you have enough. I was like, no, we need more. We need more, a pin in every place that it goes. And they dropped off more.
Yeah. So you have enough.
You would be
if
proud.
You're missing even one, you do not have enough.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Yeah. We were talking to some artist or what was that, where the pins came out and they fell, or what was it? The wallpaper hanging guys or something? I don't remember.
No, the wallpaper hanging guys argue with me about not missing a pin. But one of the students that came to a mural meetup was talking about how they had scaffolding fall. I think it wasn't the person they knew was killed or something like that. But it was. I'm like, see, this is why I have these speeches with people.
Yeah. So safety with he is an insurance salesman, if you don't know, and so your specialty is in nursing homes.
Yeah.
So sexy. But you're really good at talking to people on the phone, which is what you do all day. It's like right before we were to record this, he was talking to a customer on the phone and just, telling them about all, but you don't really sell. I feel like whenever you're talking to somebody, I've noticed you don't really sell, you inform. Yeah. You're like, this is what I have to offer, and you stand behind it. And you're not the cheapest by far. You're actually maybe one of the more expensive, but one of the more highest quality. Yeah. Or would you say that you're more expensive, or just it's not the cheapest?
It doesn't matter. Price is something that if you're selling on price, you will lose on price every time as well. So when I sell, I don't even talk about price. You're going to want to talk about coverage and talk about what you are selling, because if you're purely selling on price, there's always someone that is going to come in cheaper than you, and I don't care what you're selling. So when you start trying to sell based on price, you've already lost. You're already behind the eight ball, because someone will beat you on price every day. So you just focus on who you are. Sell your product, and customize that product to the person you're selling. Explain to them why they need you. Create that need. Price comes at the very, very end of the sales pitch.
Okay. So for example, something that I do now that I didn't really do in the beginning, I feel like in the beginning I was selling on price because I had such a mental block on price and thinking that people couldn't afford what I offer because I couldn't afford it. I wasn't going to pay $500 for a painting. So I would sell on price. But nowadays I feel like when I'm on the phone with a customer and they're wanting something, I tell them about the quality of paint, that this will last you 20 plus years. And I'll tell them, I sell a lot of people on speed, really, because I tell them, hey, I have a person working with me. We will be in and out in about 2 to 3 days, depending on what it is. And I feel like a lot of customers like that, that I can get there quickly and get it done efficiently. And it's going to last a long time. Like, I'm going to get the job done for them. I feel like that's what the customers want, like mostly business customers. I guess if you're painting in a house too, they don't want you in your house for a long time. So efficiency is kind of what I sell on, but definitely not price, because I know I am not the cheapest around. And I've lost several things to people wanting it cheaper, and I've just had to be very okay with that.
Yeah, it's okay to walk away from a potential customer. I mean, that's always typical too, is don't be afraid to walk away, because if you have someone that is nickel and diming you on the front end of the sales process and talk about cheap and cutting corners and cutting this, they are going to be difficult to, if they're that difficult before the project starts, they're going to be 10 times as difficult once the project actually begins, and if anything should happen to go wrong during that project. And so it's okay to walk away from a potential sale, if you're just not feeling that warm and fuzzy, and you can tell that they're going to be a difficult person to deal with.
Do you have any stories of difficult people to work with?
I've got a million stories.
Like what? So people, like, we think we have it bad when customers are like, hey, can I get like 5 revisions on this? Or can I ask, like, people call him when their house is burned down. Like,
yeah, it's, I mean,
do you have any stories that you could tell?
I don't have any specific stories, I guess, but I mean,
he's like, I don't want to tell.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying a word. Good luck. Maybe my customers listen to this podcast. No. Highly unlikely. I certainly have difficult customers that are, if they're always late on payment. Not all clients are created equal, even if they're both and I'm making up a number, both a $10,000 client. If you have one that you are constantly having to do revisions and they're late on their payments, and you're constantly reminded that it's taking time out of your day to spend dealing with that client, versus a client that is, you get, again, I made up a number, $10,000, and you have just a couple interactions that are great, simple. It's your hourly rate is vastly different for those two clients. So you have to take that into consideration, that if you have a client that is going to that's going to be very needy and have a lot of touches, that's okay, as long as you are making the appropriate amount on that specific project. So you just have to take that into consideration as well whenever you're selling something. Is how much time am I going to spend on this project, and not just look at the bottom dollar, because the bottom dollar does not tell everything.
Right before we sat down to do this, I was like, hey, I need some help with this pitch that I'm going to do, because I want the quality clients. And looking back of this past year in 2024, I was thinking about what projects would I want again. And there was one from a general contracting company in Kansas City, and the project was really well paid. The client was great to work with. It was just overall, I want to do 10 of those this year. So rework that. I'm going to reach out to general contracting companies in this area, and I wanted a little bit of help with my sales pitch. I know generally what I like to send out, but I just wanted extra eyes on it. So I asked you, and do you want to share with them, just to be completely open? I was like, hey, I'm going to reach out to general contracting companies. What did you say?
Like, general contractors are stereotypically, their offices are not the clean, nice, hey, let's have a mural place to put it. I mean, they usually have blueprints spread out everywhere. They spend the majority of the time in their field. I was just like, why would you want to target those people for murals?
And he does. You do insurance.
I do insurance for a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never been to a contractor's office where I'm like, man, a mural would look great here.
But so hearing that, because I've only had one experience with one general contractor that went amazing. And so hearing that, I was like, are you sure though? But I'm still going to try this. But hearing that from you, I was like, well, that would be a really good thing to put in the pitch, knowing that their offices are not super great. They're probably messy. So in the pitch, we would put something like, professionalism, like office makeover type thing. And so we came up with this pitch. I'm just going to read it. So before that, I gave him an exact example. I was like, well, I passed by this company. They're called Dirtworks. I guess we could just say that. Like, nobody else is going to pitch to this little company in Stratford, Missouri. But I passed by this Dirtworks General Contracting, which made me think about it. So, and I passed by that on the way to paint at this other company that I've been painting for the past week. And I just thought that it would be a good idea to pitch to them because I see them every day and I'm like, hey, why not? So he looked up Dirtworks and just to see what they offer and pointed out, he's like, you should probably include past projects of theirs to really customize it because we thought about this one email pitch and I get email pitched a lot. I get a lot of, hey, Art by Andrea. Hey, Artist Academy. And they don't even say my name, really. They say my company. And I'm like, I don't even read it because it's people saying, hey, I want to help you with your website. Hey, I can get you 10,000 Instagram followers. And it's just so blanketed. But I got this email a few years ago and didn't end up working out with the guy, but he had a really good pitch. And in the email, it said like, I want to help you with ads, basically. I need to pull up what the actual email was, but I opened it and it was a screen record of him on my website and suggesting things that I could do better. And I was like, okay, that's customized. Let me click on it. And I watched it and I had you watch it. What did you think about it?
I said, take my money.
Yeah. Because it was so customized.
Yeah.
And so I think our typical... there's such a give and take on sending out mass emails, and wanting a response and customizing it to get a better response. Because I have noticed when I pitched to schools last year, when I customized it to say because I had some kind of affiliation with the school, I got a response from that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And in this, just to be completely open, I'm going to give this template to my virtual assistant and I'm going to have her do the work to customize it. But if you are not super booked out and you don't you have the time, you can do this too. If you're booked out and you have some murals, hire a VA to do this. It's worth it. So just like this. So per your recommendation, you went on there and you can see the projects that they've worked on. Just like artists, we all have photos of projects that we've worked on. So you can, and I have logos of companies that I've worked for. So most companies do too, just to make them reputable. So we went on there and we saw, anyway. So in my pitch, this is literally my pitch. This is the most customized I can actually make it. I put to whoever, and then in the subject line, I would customize it as well, like Dirtworks custom hand painting or Dirtworks murals or something like that. And I said, I have passed by your Dirtworks office all this week on my way to paint for American Liner. So I'm just hoping that their neighbor right down the road, American Liner, they know who that is. And then they're going to be like, oh, they painted for them. Okay, cool. And anyway, I passed by Dirtworks all this week to paint for American Liner and wanted to reach out about offering my hand-painted mural/logo services to you. I saw that you worked on the Ozark Travel Center and Stratford Sports Center projects. We could create a mural that would put those impressive projects front and center for prospective customers to see when they walk through your door and to remind your employees of why they work there. Here's a video tour of a recent project I completed for blank general contracting company. And so, like I said, I've already completed the general contracting thing. While I was there in the office building of the general contracting company, the job that I loved, I did a walkthrough. It took about 1 minute. And I said, this is what I did. This is what they wanted, just to showcase all the things. So I'm going to put a little screenshot of a YouTube video that has press play and says general contracting company. And then when they click on it, it will, I don't know if it'll take them to my Instagram or take them to a YouTube video, probably my Instagram. That way they're on my Instagram and they can see other stuff I've done. I think that just makes it I paint for general contracting companies. Here's an example of a general contracting job that I've done. I think it's the same whenever ever painting for schools, right? Show other schools you've worked for.
Yeah. Well, that's the big keys that I always have especially when you're cold pitching, and this is a cold pitch. You need to show that you have actually taken the time to know a little bit about their product. In this case, we mentioned some of the projects they have, because that's going to be the first thing that is they're going to see is, okay, they have taken a little bit of time to know about me. Maybe I will give them a little more time to figure out who they are. So that's obviously probably the most important thing you can do with any pitch, is to customize it specifically for them so they can see that you've taken some time. Also with time is pitches need to be short and sweet. You need to have a quick catch. Less is more. If you type this big, long, wordy deal, the majority of the time someone's going to open that up and be like, I'm not reading that. So,
that's what I would do. I don't like to read. Well, that's great because you like to read things. I like to watch
videos. You need to be short and sweet. You got to give me a reason to read it, but I want short and to the sweet. I don't need fluff. This isn't an 8th grade paper where we're required to write, 3 pages and we need to fluff it out. This is short and sweet. You tell them who you are, their business, and explain to them why it's a good idea for you guys to work together, what you can do for them. And if you give them those 3 quick pitches or sections as part of your pitch, they're more than likely they're going to give you the time to go ahead and dig deeper into you. That's the key. I just see a lot of people just continue to talk, or they talk after the sale. Maybe the person's interested. They just keep talking about themselves. I'm like, they've already said yes. Let's, complete the sale. You don't need to continue talking.
Then you would, once somebody is interested, then you switch, right? And I think the best thing is just to ask them questions.
Yes.
About
find out what their needs are, because you may think you know what their need is, but listening is much more important in sales than talking and telling and lecturing them like, oh, you need this mural. Well, no, just maybe they don't need a mural. Maybe they need a logo. Maybe they need, hey, we've thought about this. It's a game we like to play. You don't know exactly why they're going to buy. You may think you may know why they're going to buy, but that gets back to, we're not selling on price. We're selling on whatever that customer believes is valuable to them.
Yeah, and it's different for everybody, because the company that I'm working for, like I'm finishing up today, I walked in and he said that he wanted, whenever customers came, and he's a manufacturing company, they make something that I couldn't even understand. This something with rubber, and we have a lot of those around Missouri. So that's why I want to pitch to them. But just walking around his area, he was showing me the possible places of the walls that were blank and we could put things. And I was like, what do you want your customers to see? Or like, is this for the employees or is this for your customers? Because I wasn't sure if customers actually visited the area or if it's just an employee. And so like asking them questions like that, like, what is this? Who is this for? And he said that the one I'm working on right now, he said that he wanted his customers to come in and know that he provided excellence. And so to put the values and put like, we produce excellence literally on the wall. So that way we could have 5 stars, we could have all the things. And that was his goal. But I just had to ask the right questions to figure that out. You're so serious this time.
I'm always serious. Except when I'm not serious.
He's like ready to go get to work. He's like, let's do this so I can like go to meetings. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I got shit to do today.
I know. So on this pitch that I'm looking at that we created, I also added like my pitch deck. But whenever I was talking to you about sending out cold pitches like this, the very first thing you said was give them visual examples right off the bat. Yeah. And I was like, I have a bit of a tussle in my mind because I have a pitch deck to send them, but they need to like read it or they need to click on it.
Yeah.
And that's a whole thing too. Like getting them to actually click to see the visual images. I'm like, that's why I had the idea of the YouTube video right there, like in the subject body of it, just to be like, show like a visual thing, because getting people to read and then click is tough. So what do you think? I mean, should I just attach? I was thinking about like, I could do the pitch deck, but I could also just attach a couple photos.
Below your signature line.
Okay. Have them small?
Yeah,
probably
small thumbnails. Just again,
thumbnails.
The different people, thumbnail size.
Okay,
it's called thumbnail. But everyone has different things that they learn. They could be audio, they could be visual. You just never know what someone is what their preference is. Like, me, I'm a very visual person. Like Andrea start reading something in the car, I'm like, shut your mouth and hand it to me. Let me read it. You could talk and it goes in one ear and out the other. It's
which is crazy. Yeah, he doesn't listen to podcasts, which is crazy to me. Like he won't listen to them.
Podcasts are so boring.
Well, I'm the opposite. If you tell me to read a long thing, I'm like, can you just summarize it and tell me, please? I don't need to read that whole thing.
Yeah, but if there's a picture in there that doesn't require them to click additionally, just something that immediately they can see, like, oh, okay, it gives you just a little bit of credibility, like, oh, this is something they created. Cool. Yeah. And it's why a lot of these customers are, we just talked about why we're building murals for them. It is demonstrating some of their projects, something they're proud of. That's why they're creating these murals in their space that, hey, look what I have done. And you're doing the same thing when you're pitching this, showing, hey, this is what I have done. This is what I've created. It just immediately gives you some value and some credibility when you're pitching to them, that they can immediately see that you know what you're doing.
Yeah. So I might, from now on, every pitch that I do, at least have one mural or two or three, or maybe two that I can put like next to each other, really small, either in the body or just like I'm tempted to just put it in the body of it, because I needed people to open what's going to get people to open it is the subject line, right? Like murals for Dirtworks, whatever, like something like that. But then getting them to actually visually see, because I feel like that's the same thing whenever we meet somebody new, right? They're like, oh, you're an artist. That's so cute. I'm like, no, here's like a picture of my murals. They're like, oh, you're an artist. That's really cute. I'm like, yeah, so that's what I need to do in these emails. And so I'm about to do a ton of email outreach, cold pitching. And so just to give myself the absolute best leg up, I like just talking through this with you helps. What about the end call? So, right, like on here, I have, let me know if you have any interest in this and have time for a quick, no strings attached call to discuss possibilities. I have some ideas I think you might like. Is that what you would do?
Yeah.
Or would you set like an exact time? Would you put your Calendly? I was thinking about putting a Calendly link in there, because then, or should I just say, call me anytime on there?
I've always done the call me anytime. I know certainly the people that do have the set up a time, and I don't know, for some reason those pitches just drive me nuts when they give you a link to like set up a schedule. Those people just annoy me for some reason. I delete those immediately. I don't know.
Is it too automated? It's not.
I think it is automated, but I mean, because I get those pitches all the time of, hey, let's set up a calendar. I'm like, who sets up a calendar? You're such a nerd. No. Boom, delete. I delete. Those get deleted.
Tell us how you really think.
Yeah, good luck. If you're sending me a calendar invite, you're immediately getting deleted. I'm not reading anything in your emails. And I get, of course, I probably get several hundred emails a day. So, and I have to sort through those quickly to get the ones that I care about. So I am probably very quick at the switch when it comes to deleting things, which I guess is probably what makes me an expert on what works and what doesn't work on email pitching.
Kind of. I feel like
I know what works for me, at least.
Well, I was because I had a call with some artists here recently, and I was pretty sold on sending them a Calendly link to schedule something. But if you think about it,
if it's a warm lead,
if it's a warm,
once you've gone past that, once you've gone back and forth, I like the idea of hey, here's some times I have available, but not on the opening pitch. This is something where after they've gone back and forth and, hey, let's talk about it. Then you can send them here's some times I have available. But when you send that on the very, very first deal, it just reminds me of those places that are just purely salespeople that, they have quotas and they're just purely to get you in for a 15-minute conversation and maybe kick you to the next person. I don't know. That drives me nuts. So if it's you've already warmed up the conversation and you're just trying to simplify on times when you guys are both available, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So I was thinking about it, and other than times where I'm on a podcast interview or on a call with students to coach, which is really about an hour a day total, like usually per day, maybe two. Like I can pretty much take a call at any time. So I was thinking on this about just changing that to call me anytime at my number. to discuss possibilities. That way they can just call me anytime.
That's my typical pitch, is it leaves that in there.
Okay. I like that. I'm going to change that to that. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. Okay. That was a pretty good briefing of all of that. I think.
Well, when you're talking to the best, my general knowledge has just been passed on to 10 followers? How many podcast people do you have? 11, 12?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
We're trying to reach 20 this year. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's all we have to. Let us know if you have any questions, but other than that, that'll probably be your last podcast episode ever. So,
but because it's the best podcast you've had so far.
Mic drop. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Artist Academy podcast. I so appreciate you tuning in every week, and I would also appreciate if you could do me a very small favor and possibly share this episode either on social media. You can tag me or even just write me a note in my DMs saying what you liked about the podcast, what you want to see more of, anything. I love getting any and every feedback, especially in the form of a review, 5 stars only. That's all we accept on Apple or Spotify. And just any kind of positive feedback whatsoever. It really makes everything worth it. Me sitting down to create this absolutely free podcast full of art and business content. And I also wanted to throw this out there that if you are not where you want to be currently in your art business, if you're stuck at a boring job that just sucks the creativity out of you and you don't have time to paint and you're wanting to go full time with some kind of way of painting or murals or something, anything other than where you're at, trust me, I know the feeling and I know how much it can affect the rest of your life, and I know what's on the other side of it. There's a lot of hard work and there's a lot of tips and tricks in the middle, but that's why I created the Artist Academy membership. It's only $37 a month, and it takes artists from aspiring or beginner to full-time and up to 6 figures. I've helped more artists than I can count or think of at the moment quit their jobs and go full-time into painting, and I can help you too. It's such a crazy, confusing, tough time, especially in that first year. That's why I specialize in helping artists within that first year of business, because that's the hardest part, taking the first step, figuring out how to get those first couple clients, and then we work from there. I've helped multiple artists reach even the 6-figure mark, and I can help you too. If you're ready to make 2025 the year that you finally go full-time into the creative industry and make good money with your art, and I want to invite you into the Artist Academy membership to view my over 100 plus art and business tutorials. There's everything from how to paint large scale to how to make a marketing plan for this year. And every single month I update it with new content of what's working right now, what's working on social media, what are the things that I'm doing, specific things with templates, with email scripts, with all the things that you need. That you just go right over the headache of it all, and I just give it to you, and you make it your own, and you grow your own unique art business the way you want to. Inside the membership, I open up my business and show you what I'm pricing per job, how the job went, what I learned from it, how I got that customer, and how I'm repeating that over and over again to build a 6-figure plus consistent art business for the last 10 years. I think I've been doing this for about 10 years and teaching for almost 6 years. Crazy. So I've heard it all. I've heard all of the excuses, all the hurdles, and I can help you through them. They say a mentor can see your future a lot more clearly than you can. That's why you hire one, because when you're going through the tough times and thinking that you can't do it, I'm here and I know you can, and I can help you get around that hurdle and reach to the next hurdle and then the next one, and then yeah. So $37 a month. Go to artistacademy.co to join. There are no minimums. Cancellation is super easy. Stay as long as you want. Gather as much as you want. And grow your business as much as you want this year. Go to artistacademy.co to join the membership.